Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Orozco Body and Mind podcast. I'm your host, Chris Orozco. And, first of all, I hope you guys have been really staying on top of your New Year's resolution. I know we're halfway through the month, but I hope you've been staying consistent. I hope you've been changing some habits that maybe you've wanted to change for a long time, or maybe you've had interest in changing them as of recently. I hope you've been staying out of your comfort zone, jumping into new things, trying new things, and I hope you've been able to start a new skill, right? Try to master a new skill into this new year. So I hope you've just been really trying your best. I know sometimes, like for me, I've had a couple of days this month where I didn't feel like myself. I felt like I had low energy. I felt like, I didn't have that inspiration that I normally have. But then I had to remind myself, that's normal sometimes. That's normal if you've been doing the work. That's normal if, and at the end of the day, we're human, right? We are not going to be 100% all the time. So I hope you've just been trying your best. Um, Anyways, so hope you've been staying on top of that. But I wanted to talk to you guys today about discipline and the mindset it takes to be disciplined. Because I think it's something that a lot of people, including myself, I've struggled with for a majority of my life. It's something that it's not easy to do, but it's really the mindset. It's really how you go about doing things. It's really just choosing better habits, choosing better values, and sticking to them, no matter if it's good, bad, no matter if it's like choosing every single thing you do for you and only you. So the definition that I think discipline is the ability to choose your long-term goals or values consistently, even when it's not easy, even when it's uncomfortable, even when things aren't going your way, but the ability to choose you, the ability to choose yourself. And also, sometimes um, we have to be able to tell certain people no, whether it's our friends, our families, our colleagues. There's a lot of a lot of situations where somebody might invite you somewhere, and you have to say no because you're going to sleep early, so you get to sleep a little earlier and get more rest. Or sometimes your friends might invite you to eat, but choosing yourself, no, I have to choose this instead of that. So really the ability to say no. I think also Mike Tyson said one time is the ability to do the hard things by acting like you love them, acting like this is the best thing for you. So the ability to choose, the things that we aren't comfortable with by acting like you love them. And to be honest, for me, I was an athlete growing up, and I could tell you that I didn't have the best discipline when it came to the sport of basketball because, um, and I learned a lot from it. But when I was younger, I remember that kids would, we would have a game, right? And I would play the whole game. I'd have a good game, and then I'd get invited to go to a party. And instead of choosing, excuse me, instead of choosing rest, which I desperately needed, instead of choosing myself, I would go to these parties and I would drink and I would smoke, and my body would not be able to handle all this extra, all these bad habits. So the next day I'd wake up hungover. I'd wake up just in worse. I'd have worse sleep. And I learned from an early age that that's not the way to do things. It's sometimes, and a lot of people sometimes aren't going to understand you. Like, I should have told my classmates, hey, listen, I want to rest my body. I need to choose myself. But, it was something that I learned from a young age. So, so now that I'm older, right, I get invited to certain places, and a lot of my friends still go out. They like to party, they like to drink. Um, but it's like, no, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not putting myself in more situations where I'm tempted, even when it came to for me sobering up and to stop drinking, right? Sometimes I have to say no to people that invite me to places where, there's going to be a lot of parties, there's going to be a lot of music, because that can tempt me from keeping my vision and staying aligned. And over the year and like a few months that I've been completely no alcohol. Um, Sometimes we can't rely all the time on willpower, but we have to be able to say no, to say no to people. Discipline also starts with staying locked in, right? Not having peripheral vision, not thinking about other things, but staying locked in into your goals, right? Into your long-term goals, having the big picture, always a reminder of the bigger picture and why you're doing things. Um, so when I started this brand, right, I knew that, it wasn't going to be easy. I had to stay disciplined and consistent with putting out content, with making sure I'm on top of my clients, with making sure that I'm aligned into my goals and values, right? Because I feel like if I'm not aligned myself, right? If I'm just drinking and smoking and going out and partying, how could I have a personal brand that represents good habits, that represents consistency, that represents fitness, that represents growth, that represents a good mindset, if I'm all misaligned? So I have to be the head of the snake, and I have to making sure that I put in the work every single day. Like I said, I have to stay disciplined. I have to stay on top of my game, because if I'm not, I can't. I'm gonna be a hypocrite. I'm not gonna be able to stay and preach what I preach. Yeah, the ability to choose your long-term goals is huge. Your values, right? What do you stand for? What are you about? The ability to choose that as well. And sometimes it's not going to be easy. We're going to be uncomfortable. We're going to be hesitant. We're going to be inconsistent. But like I said, having that long-term vision. Well, in 2023, that's where everything really changed for me, because I was in between 2019 and 2022. I was somebody who was drinking every single weekend. I was, having unhealthy eating habits. I would really just pick and choose whatever I wanted to eat. I would be partying a lot, and it just wasn't the lifestyle that I wanted to live. And I was young. I was in my mid 20s. But I also, something inside of me was eating away at me every time I would drink, every time I would eat unhealthy. I was like, I have to be the best version of myself one day. I can't, if I want to be the best version of myself one day, I can't be doing all of this. I can't be just eating unhealthy and drinking. I can't be, not locked in into my goals, not locked into. So something inside of me was telling me this is not the right path. So if you're somebody who has the same feeling deep in your heart, you have to follow that feeling. You have to, that's life telling you with your intuition, with that voice, that you're meant for something more. So if you're stuck in a habit where you're drinking, where you're smoking, where you're partying, where you're not being the healthiest version of yourself, and you have that feeling inside of you that you could have a better life, that you could have a better future, that you could take slow steps to really changing your life. Like I said, that's really life telling you, you're meant for more. You're meant for just a change in your life. You're meant to inspire others. You're meant to grow. You're meant to develop. You're meant for bigger things. So don't ignore that voice. Don't ignore that calling that you have, because that is your intuition. That is your true being telling you that you're meant to reach new heights, and you're not meant to stay stuck in the same loop, in the same routine, in the same bad habits. So yeah, guys, I also wanted to talk to you about a little bit about taking risk, right? Because without risk, and I'm not talking about just risks that are not calculated, but I'm talking about risks that are calculated, right? Risks that you've thought about. If we don't take risks, right, we could never get to where we want to be, because life is all about taking a calculated risk. It's all about moving forward from point A to point B. But we have to be able to jump. We have to be able to have that leap of faith and take smaller risks. We don't have to take giant risks, but for me, it was about this personal brand. I started it with not knowing anything about social media, not knowing anything about podcasting, not knowing anything about just how personal brand would work. I just had a feeling that I was meant to help people. I was helped to inspire people. I was helped to try to change people's lives. So I just took a gamble, and I'm not saying that it's paid off, because I'm far away from where I want to be one day, but at least I'm trying. At least I'm trying to stay consistent. I'm trying to move forward. I'm trying to live a better life and set an example, right? That's what it's all about. At least trying and taking that risk. So I took a risk just by seeing people, seeing me on camera. I went back and forth a lot for a few weeks. I was like, what are people gonna think about me? What are people? Just my own inner self telling me, oh, what are people gonna think? How are people gonna judge you? My own inner insecurities. But I decided to leave those behind, because, like I said, it's not about me. It's about helping maybe somebody who sees this podcast, and maybe they get a little inspiration, who's maybe been down for a while. Seeing a little bit of inspiration could really change their whole entire lives. I remember when I was depressed, when I was in a really, really bad depression in 2017. I needed to hear somebody who could just give me some inspiration, give me some hope, give me some light where I didn't have the light. And I want to be that for people who don't have that light, who don't have that inspiration, who don't have that motivation, but they need to just get something. So yeah, guys. So I talked to you guys a little bit about discipline, about taking risks. I hope that you stay on top of things. I hope this year has been a good start for you guys. Even the couple weeks that we've been in. So just continue to take small steps forward. You don't have to take giant steps. You don't have to change your life completely from a whole 360, but taking small little steps to move forward, to keep continuing to inspire the person next to you, to keep being the best version of yourself. And that's what it is. That's really what it takes. And you'll realize that if you continue to take small little steps forward, your whole life could really change very, very soon. Start with setting goals, right? Set goals for yourself. Start by changing your habits little by little. You don't have to change your habits completely crazy, but maybe picking one or two to focus on. Then start by, so after you change your habits, stay consistent, right? You have to stay consistent. Prove it to yourself that you're that person. Prove it to yourself by getting small wins to stay consistent. Then then get out of your comfort zone. After you've proven to yourself that you're consistent, get out of your comfort zone a little bit. Try something new, do something different. And then it's really about mastering that skill, mastering that habit where you could do things without you even thinking about it. So, thank you guys for watching. I hope you had some inspiration. I hope you had some motivation. I hope you've been staying consistent, and I hope this year brings you a ton of wonderful, wonderful things, and continue to be the best version of yourself. So I hope you got. I will be back with another episode next week, and please take care of yourselves. Be safe, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.